The next morning, she got dressed, complete with a leg brace, and headed out to the kitchen. Jacob was already awake and had brought several choices from McDonald's. Jacob again helped her to a seat, and they ate quietly, lost in their own thoughts.
What time is the hearing, Uncle Jacob?
We have some time. 10:30.
Erin looked over to the microwave. It read 7:30. The courthouse was about a half hour away, so they did in fact have some time. After breakfast, he helped her to make more choices, and he marked the items her parents had mentioned as being anchors with the orange stickers. The hearing was short, and afterward, Jacob became her legal guardian. They stayed at the house for a few more days while they marked everything. Some things they boxed themselves. The day they were heading back to his home in Virginia, he brought over her parents' suitcase, and she packed as many of her clothes in it as possible. They had a couple of them, so she was able to fit a fair amount in them. These they would take with them. The rest would be taken care of by a moving company and a real estate agent who would be taking pictures of the house's interior and exterior and put it on the market for them. Erin would have liked to keep the house, but knew there was no way her parents' estate could afford it. Jacob helped her with the banking end of everything and had an account made for her at the bank he owned, Blackwell Financial. She had asked her dad if they were related, and he had said no and refused to bank there. Now she knew why. It was a long car ride from Michigan to Virginia. To his credit, Jacob made many stops so that Erin could stretch her left leg. When it got really bad, he asked her if he could try and ease some of the pain with his magic. She agreed, so he lightly laid his hand on her hip while he drove and cast a quick spell.
I reduced the swelling. It should help with the pain.
She thanked him, and he continued to drive. It was after midnight by the time they got to the family mansion in Five Forks, Virginia, which was about an hour or so outside of Richmond. By then, Erin was fast asleep. Not wanting to wake her, Jacob carefully closed his car door, opened hers, and carried her up to the mansion. He added more healing energy to her hip so that she wouldn't suddenly wake up. He carried her up to a spare bedroom and had the staff prepare what would be her permanent bedroom. They would have to wait until the moving truck arrived to finish, but it was at least cleaned, aired out, and the curtains were changed. He laid her on the bed, removed her shoes, and then carefully removed her leg brace before tucking her under the covers. He made sure that her brace was within sight of the bed, and the staff brought up her suitcases and crutches. Jacob made sure the crutches were also in easy reach for her before turning off the light and closing the door. Sunlight streaming in through the window awakened Erin. She sat up quickly, looking around at the strange room. It was a very plain room without any decoration or personalization. She saw that she was still wearing the clothes she had traveled in yesterday. A quick sweep of the room with her eye located her leg brace, her crutches, and her suitcases. She stood up and adjusted the crutches at her armpits, and then moved over to the suitcases. She got down on the floor with some trouble, but was able to open the suitcases and remove some clothing. It was a lot hotter and more humid here than back in Michigan, so she opted for a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. The brace was already lined with cotton padding to help against chafing. Once she was dressed, it was time to look for a bathroom. She had a small toiletry bag with a handle, so she grabbed it and left the room. She looked left and right down the hallway and guessed left. Both ways looked much the same, and both had turns that made it look like maybe the halls formed a box. That meant that a bathroom was likely on the interior wall. Hopefully. The first door on the interior wall was closed. She pressed her ear to the door, but heard nothing. She checked the handle, and it was unlocked. When the door opened, it revealed a full bathroom. Her bladder was saved. She turned on the light, closed the door behind herself, and took care of her needs, and took a shower. She got redressed and left the bathroom with the intention of putting her toiletry bag in the room and then trying to find a kitchen. Instead, when she opened the door, she was met with a man and a woman who appeared to be similar in age.
Hi, you must be Erin. My name is Susana, and this is my twin brother Deacon.
The woman greeted. They were both brown-haired and brown-eyed. They certainly did look very similar to each other, with the same tilt to their eyes, the same nose and cheekbones. Her lips were very full, while his were much thinner. They had similar builds, too. His hair was short and swept to the side, which was popular even at her old high school in Michigan. Her hair was feathered in the front and went down to just below her shoulders.
Hi.
Erin replied awkwardly.
Jacob is our father. We're the oldest of his 3 kids. We're 24 and Colby... Have you met Colby yet?
Erin shook her head no.
Oh, that's right. You both got in really late. Colby is our half-brother, and he's 21.
Deacon added with a smile.
Here, let me take your bag. Dad has you in one of the guest rooms for now, but once your stuff comes either today or tomorrow, we can help you get your real room situated.
Erin let him take the bag, and he went and set it in the guest room, and quickly returned to them.
Come on, Erin. Let's go down to the kitchen and have some breakfast.
Susana said, gesturing further down the hall.
Don't worry. When Grandma got real sick, we had an elevator installed for her, and it's been kept in good shape. That way you won't have to worry about stairs until you're ready for them. That's a relief.
Erin replied with a smile. The elevator quickly came into view, as well as the grand staircase. She learned they were on the 2nd floor, and that there were a total of 3 floors and a full attic. The twins chatted about the house, explaining some of the different areas of the house, such as the game room, the huge 2-story library, the ballroom, the parlor, and the conservatory. The elevator touched down, and Deacon slid the grill open. The opening led to the entry hall. In the center of this space was a tree which stood about 10 feet tall. It glowed with a golden light, and after a few moments she understood that this was not a real tree. It made the hair stand up on her arms, so she knew it was magical, but didn't understand it.
Isn't it beautiful? Our great-great-great-great-grandmother made it. Anyone that came from her line is on this tree along with their spouses and children. Whenever anyone is born, they show up here.
Susana explained and showed Erin her own branch. There were images of each person in the family, past and present. Her parents were outlined in a black light, and it was explained that the black glow indicated the person was dead. She saw her own image, and it was glowing blue, which indicated a mage. There were other branches shown, and she saw other family members that were alive, but not mages. They were outlined in purple light. It was the branches themselves that were glowing golden.
Because our father is the current heir, he is connected to this tree and feels any changes. He saw that your image kept on flashing between purple and blue, so he knew you were in the process of awakening as a mage. After so many years, he gave up hope that you would awaken. He felt the moment your parents died and the moment you awakened.
She continued. Erin nodded her understanding.
Enough with the boring stuff, Suze. I bet she's hungry. I know I'm starving.
Deacon exclaimed, pulling his sister along.
This way, Erin.
Deacon and Susana led Erin to the kitchen. An Asian man met them in the kitchen and was setting down 3 plates at the smaller kitchen table. There was a separate dining room, but Deacon explained they used that for dinner because they all tended to eat breakfast and lunch at different times, but ate dinner all together.
This is Lan Kun, Erin. Mr. Kun, this is Erin. She's Uncle Dustin's daughter.
Susana said.
Just call me Chow.
He grinned, his eyes twinkling with mischief.
Chow?
Erin asked.
It's his joke.
Deacon explained.
He does actually prefer it.
The food in front of her was exactly what she was craving. It was also different from what Susana and Deacon had in front of them.
Thank you for breakfast, Chow.
Erin smiled.
Anytime, Miss Erin.
He replied. He went back to the sink and started loading the dishwasher. When he had been near Erin, her arm hair had lifted. Was he using magic? Susana and Deacon shared a look and a smirk as they waited for Erin to figure it out. As she ate, she began to realize that Chow was not alive. He was a ghost, like her parents. Chow eventually left the room.
He's not alive, is he?
I was hoping you would get it. You are a necromancer, right?
Deacon asked.
Uncle Jacob waited until evening to call my parents.
Erin replied, frowning.
Oh, this house is special. The dead normally can only come out during the night. Our day is their night and vice versa. This house allows them to switch that day and night schedule. Essentially, they can be awake when they want to be and aren't bound to nights like normal. There are several staff like him. They've been with the family for a long time.
Like slaves?
Erin asked worriedly.
No.
Susana cut in.
It's their choice, and they can leave any time they want. This gives them purpose. The dead need purpose in order to stay up here. Without purpose, they fall down deeper into the underworld. If they fall too far down, they can fall into oblivion, which will destroy them and make it so they can't reincarnate. By staying up on this plane of existence, it gives them a chance to resolve any of their issues from when they were alive. If they can resolve everything holding them here, they can then reincarnate. Make sense?
Erin nodded.
Cooking food is Chow's passion. Passions give them energy. Chow always knows what someone wants to eat and when they are going to enter his kitchen to eat. You'll eventually meet the rest.
When they were finished, Susana took everyone's plates and glasses to the sink. Chow had come back and was putting together another plate of food. They were getting up when a blonde-haired boy came in with his hair still messy from sleep. He was yawning as he stepped in.
Hey, Colby! Come in and meet Erin!
Susana exclaimed. Colby covered his ears.
Geez, Sus, it's too early to be squealing.
He looked up.
Nice to meet you, Erin.
He headed over to the table, thanked Chow, and started to eat.
Don't mind him. He won't be awake until after he eats.
Deacon chuckled.
Come on, and we'll show you your room. Then we can go shopping for anything you want to complete your room or if you want to get some clothes. I'm sure the weather is a bit different than you're used to.
I'm sure I'll be fine. I don't want to spend any money right now. Oh, don't worry about it. Dad gave us all credit cards. Yours is probably in the mail still. It's so we don't need to carry money if we don't want to, and we can get anything we need or want within reason. We just have to let him know if we make any larger purchases, so he doesn't get surprised when the bill comes in.
Susana explained.
You don't work?
Erin was a little horrified that her uncle's grown children would live off of him like that.
Oh, no,
Susana replied.
Colby owns a magical supply shop in Richmond, and he and I both make all pre-made items together. Deacon is a part-time physical therapist and spends his weekends at the Hammerhead Club. Hammerhead Club?
Yeah,
Deacon replied.
it's an underground mage fighting club. The physical therapy is all good, but I'm a mighty one. I need something a bit more physical, and there aren't a ton of jobs out there that fill that need in my soul. So, the fight club works for me. I get nice payouts, too.
He grinned.
And because I only work part-time as a physical therapist, I can also be your personal physical therapist.
And Colby and I can help teach you magic while Dad is at work. He'll take over when he's able to, but it will be me and Colby who will do most of it.
Susana grinned. By then, they were at her new room. It was on the second floor, and the windows faced the front of the house. The room was massive.
We all have rooms like this. It lets us have space to relax or work and also a place to sleep. You may want to pick up some screens to divide the space and a couple area rugs to put over the hardwood floors. You also have your own bathroom through there.
Deacon pointed.
I don't remember there being anything set up in this bathroom. Let me go check.
He quickly flicked the light on and gave the bathroom a once-over.
I was right. Not even a shower curtain, and the linen closet in here is bare. Did you pack any towels or bed sheets?
Uncle Jacob told me to leave them, and that there were plenty at this house.
Susana grinned.
That was code for I get to take you shopping.
Deacon rolled his eyes, making Erin giggle at their antics.
You're going to make me go to Linens and Things, aren't you?
Deacon groaned.
And Pier 1 Imports. Where else are we going to find the divider screen?
Deacon groaned again.
Erin, what kind of furniture did you keep? Couches, lamps?
A desk that was apparently great-great-grandpa's desk. My dad took it with him when he left. A few bookshelves, the china cabinet, but not the china.
I think that's it for larger furniture, besides my dad's sound system.
Nice. Record, 8-track, and cassette?
Deacon asked. Erin nodded.
Nice. We'll have to look through and see what you have, and check out Harmony House one of these days.
He grinned.
My brother is a music nerd. Watch out or he'll have you sit and listen to whole albums without talking,
Susana warned.
Just because you can't appreciate good music.
Deacon muttered.
Why don't we show her our rooms so she can get a better idea of what she can do with her room, Deacon?
Okay.
He put up his hands in mock surrender. It took some time, but they were able to show her their own rooms, which were on the 3rd floor. By the time they were done showing their own, Colby was headed to his own room and showed her his own. While they were all on the 3rd floor, she learned that Uncle Jacob was also on the 2nd floor with her. She also learned that Uncle Jacob had other children, but none of them had become mages. He was still in their lives, just as his mage children were still in their mother's lives. They just couldn't live here.
Uncle Jacob never settled down with anyone? He's a bit of a player. No one woman ever seems to keep his attention long.
Susana shrugged. By the time they were finished showing her their rooms, it was time for Colby to leave to go and open the shop. Deacon and Susana showed her a few more features of the house and then led her down to have lunch. Chow already had plates on the table ready for them. They thanked him, ate, and then they headed out to the foyer.
Ruth?
Deacon called out.
Who's Ruth?
Erin whispered.
I'm the house manager, Miss Erin.
Erin jumped at the way she suddenly appeared and Deacon steadied her.
How can I help you, Deacon?
Did Dad tell you when the moving truck was set to arrive with Erin's stuff from her parents' house?
He said it should be here by tomorrow.
She replied. Ruth was an older woman, perhaps in her 60s. Her red hair was faded. It was long and held up in the back with a snood with beautiful hair combs holding it in place. The front of her hair at the top was shorter and curly. You could tell from the top, middle, and sides of her hair that she had naturally curly hair, and the snood helped to maintain her beautiful locks. Her clothing appeared to be from the 1890s, whereas Chow's clothing looked to be only from the 1960s or 1970s.
Is there anything else, Deacon?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know we were taking Erin to do some shopping to give her bedroom and bathroom some finishing touches in case Dad gets home first.
Thank you for letting me know.
She smiled at him. They headed outside and opened one of the garages. Erin was surprised that they had 4 two-car garages. In the garage he opened was a pickup truck that looked like it had just rolled off the assembly line, as well as a Porsche that looked the same. Deacon opened the door to the truck and gestured for Erin, who was the smallest of the 3 of them, to take the center seat of the bench seat. Deacon was easily 6 feet tall, and his sister was a few inches shorter than him. Erin, however, was only 5 feet, 4 inches. As a gymnast, being short was actually a good thing. You didn't see many tall gymnasts. Being in a coma for the 2 months had also taken their toll on her body. She was now much smaller than she had once been. She missed her muscles. Deacon helped her to position herself, and then he set her crutches in the bed of the truck. Susana explained,
When we were younger, we didn't like Ruth. We were constantly giving her trouble, and she was in charge of us as our nanny. Dad still had to work, and our magic was still too wild to be around our mom. Ruth eventually showed us why she is to be respected. The dead have different paths, just like us. It usually relates to what they were good at when they were alive. For example, someone who had a high intuitive ability might become an oracle in death. Ruth was a noblewoman who was extremely intimidating in her time. Her ability that showed up is called phantasm. It allows her to create elaborate dreams and illusions. Or, should I say, nightmares and frightening illusions. So, when we were young, we hated her, but she has also protected us. When Dad was at work, a burglar or kidnapper, we never found out what he was, got into the house. She was the one that hid us and protected us with her abilities. After that, we came to respect her and appreciate her. So, now if we leave the house or expect anyone over, we let her know.
Erin nodded with understanding. While Susana had spoken, Deacon had been driving and heading them towards Richmond.
It's going to be a good hour or so to get to Richmond. Can you tell us about yourself? What did you do for fun in Michigan?
Deacon asked. Erin explained that she had been a gymnast. She had an interest in the various bars at school, so had asked her parents about it. She had actually gotten really good on the uneven bars and also enjoyed the floor exercise. Of the 4 events they could compete in, she had actually placed 3rd in state on a consistent basis on the uneven bars. She rarely placed in any of the other events and never placed in the regionals. But it was something she had really enjoyed, and now Deacon was kind of sad he had asked. The thing she had enjoyed most had been taken from her. After some silence, Erin spoke up.
Deacon said he was a mighty one. What are you and Colby, Susana?
I'm a warlock and Colby is an enchanter. Huh. Now we have one from each path in the house. That's kind of neat.
As they were driving towards the main downtown area, Susana pointed to Colby's shop. It was called the Black Cat Emporium.
Deacon helped me with the wards around the place. Anyone who isn't a mage looks at the place, and it is the most boring kind of shop to them. So, if they find antiquing boring, for example, that's the kind of shop it is. If they don't like sewing, it's a fabric shop to them. Make sense? We were able to combine my ability with mind magic and his ability with wards. We can both do wards and mind magic, but we are stronger when we both use our own stronger arcane. That's pretty neat,
Erin replied. Deacon pulled into the parking lot of Linens and Things. He dropped Susana and Erin up front so he could go and find a parking spot and spend a little less time in this store. He found them in a section that had bathroom supplies.
Deacon, today would be a good day to paint the room and bathroom. What do you think?
It would certainly be easier to do it without any furniture in the room yet.
He conceded.
Let's find some color inspiration. And because I know Deacon is just eager to leave here, he can go to the Benjamin Moore store and pick up the paint.
That's actually a really good idea, Susana.
They discussed colors and Erin's likes and dislikes. When they had some color and theme ideas for him, he happily left them to shop. Knowing his sister, they could be here hours.
It might be a good idea to grab one of the wheelchairs from the front if you two are going to be all over this store,
he admonished. Sheepishly, Susana agreed. It wasn't motorized, but Erin had used a wheelchair for a while before she was able to walk on her own. Susana fit the crutches in the shopping basket, and Erin wheeled herself around as they shopped. They left with several sets of sheets, a new light blanket and comforter, towels, washcloths, a shower curtain, a new set of curtains for both the bathroom window and the bedroom windows, 2 large area rugs, new wastebaskets for the room and the bathroom, and even some hangers. She had been using wire hangers at home, but these would all be wooden hangers. Susana insisted. By the time they were done, the basket was overflowing. They were checking out when Susana put her hand to her temple briefly.
There. Now Deacon will be waiting for us,
she whispered to Erin. A few of the workers helped to put the area rugs into the bed of the truck, and the rest of the items were set in bags in the bed of the truck. They made their way to Pier 1 Imports next, and Deacon stayed with the truck while they looked for a few finishing touches to the room. They found the perfect pair of folding screens as well as a few minor decorations, and then headed home. At home, they left everything except the paint in the truck and headed inside. In the room, Deacon and Susana showed Erin how a mage can paint walls and showed her how to tap into her power. Paint was, after all, just matter. They helped her to move it from the cans to the walls smoothly and quickly. Everything was done in less than an hour. They grinned at her, knowing she would be shocked at the use of magic as they opened the windows to help air out the room.
And that, my dear Erin, is how a mage paints a room,
Deacon teased.
That was amazing. Is magic always like this?
No. Sometimes it is very hard and very dangerous, but painting a room is a piece of cake. Soon you'll be able to do it in your sleep.
Susan replied. It was late, so Deacon did a minor bit of spell work that would speed up the drying process of the paint. It wasn't instant, but would be dry by the time her stuff came. When they came down, Jacob was home and sitting in the living room reading a book. The sound of the elevator let him know who was coming down. He was excited to know how his niece was taking everything. He had asked the twins if they would be able to stay with her today, and they had been happy to do this for him.
Hey, Dad!
Susana greeted him as the three of them entered the living room.
How have you all been doing today?
He asked.
They have been very kind to me.
Erin replied.
You know that Deacon will be your physical therapist, right? Did you all get that far?
He asked.
Yes, he let me know, but we didn't get to it today.
Jacob smiled.
I wasn't expecting you to. Not with these two. Do you have the receipts, Susana?
I told you he was expecting us to spend some money.
Susana crowed as she handed over hers and Deacon's receipts. Jacob chuckled and looked over them briefly before tucking them into his pocket.
I can't wait to see everything together. As Ruth has probably told you, the moving truck is expected tomorrow, and because it's Saturday, I can stay and help with the unloading.
I don't think I have ever been so happy that we have an elevator.
Susana confessed, which made the boys both chuckle.
Me too,
Jacob replied. Jacob looked up to see Chow standing in the doorway. He smiled and turned back to the kitchen.
Chow just let me know everything is ready. Shall we?
He stood up and gestured to the dining room. As Erin moved that way, the smells of good food filled the air. The food was the best she had ever had. They chatted about their days, and Colby let them know he was running low on some candles and asked if Susana could make some more for him over the weekend.
That's perfect, Colby. I can teach Erin how to make them too.
Colby smiled and nodded. It was part of the reason he had asked her to. Crafting magical ingredients was important for a mage to know how to do. The fact that he would be selling them later was just a bonus. This meant that they would be able to show her how to make a multitude of things and not have to wait for them to be needed for any spell work.
I'll leave the list in the conservatory for you.
Susana nodded as the subject of conversation shifted. Erin didn't have any siblings, so it was nice seeing how everyone interacted with each other. She could tell there was real care between them and wished her dad could have gotten this too. When dinner was over, they made their way out to the living room where the biggest TV she had ever seen was set in an entertainment center surrounded by more VHS than what was in a movie store.
What kind of movies do you like, Erin?
Deacon asked.
I like a little bit of everything.
She replied.
Have you seen Goonies?
He asked.
Yeah, that was the movie my parents took me to go see that night. We were on our way home when we were hit.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry, Erin. How about a comedy?
He pleaded, trying to fix the melancholy mood he had put her in.
What about Ghostbusters?
She replied. It had come out last year and she hadn't seen it, only the previews. Deacon nodded and grabbed the movie, made sure it had been rewound, and set it in the VCR. Jacob turned the TV on, and soon the five of them had settled onto the couches and armchairs to watch the movie. She especially liked the Hell Dogs. They made her giggle. By the time the movie ended, it was late, and Erin was tired. It was still early, but the constant dull ache in her hip was tiring.
I'm going to head to bed,
She announced.
So soon? We aren't boring you, are we?
Susana asked.
No, I just get tired sooner than I used to.
She explained.
Okay. Did you want me to walk with you to your room?
She asked. Erin shook her head with a smile and headed over to the elevator, and then to the guest room she was using. After getting ready for bed and laying down, sleep quickly claimed her.
Hey everyone, hope you loved the video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe for more awesome sci-fi content. You can also support us by hitting the thanks button at the bottom of the video. Your generosity goes a long way. Every bit helps us bring you more stories from the stars. Thanks a bunch.